We are at First State Lanes, the Junior Singles Classic, 18th annual version. With me, Brandon Moon, and our first bowler, Darrick Fisher. And Darrick gets a 7 count, leaves the 1-2-4.
I just played in this same tournament. Try using that outside line as oil out there. It's the only place where there is oil. Outside, cannot break back. It's going to go for the spare. Lost his balance, but still picked it up.
Barely made that one.
Barely, it's right.
And we're going to get our first look at Danielle Gabel.
Her second appearance on TV. Darrick only had one.
And Danielle's younger sister was on earlier in the Junior Singles Classic in the Bantam division.
Now let's see how big sister is going to do.
And Danielle leaves the 5-pin. Both our bowlers are 11 years old. They both bowl in the TNBA League here at First State Lanes.
And they both have bowled for 3 years, 3 to 4.
And a spare for Danielle Gabel.
And Gary is the one who got Darrick started bowling. When he first started, you can say thanks to Gary. He got him started. He's his biggest influence, you can say.
And a strike for Danielle. That gives her 20 through.
And Darrick got an 8 count. They got a mix-up. Darrick bowled for Danielle and Danielle bowled for Darrick. So I guess we're going to go through this whole game. Darrick, Danielle.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on this because Darrick gets 8 pins handicap.
And he's bowling as Danielle, so I guess
he makes his second spare.
Add the 8 pins in. They both bowled on the same team this season in TNBA.
Yes, they did.
And they ended up in first place, both sets.
Danielle was our average leader in the prep division for the junior, or for the prep girls.
But they're both awesome bowlers.
Darrick made the top 10 this year for the first year.
Darrick has bowled a 214 high game and a 535 high series. Very good.
And we have Danielle coming up in the third.
She bowled a 204 high game and a 500 even series.
And a 7 count.
For this season anyway. She won the National Family Tournament. And Darrick has placed in a doubles tournament as well as singles.
And a spare for Danielle in the third.
This is going to be a great match.
Yeah, this is a very close match at this point. And a 6 count for Danielle.
First time she's missed a strike on lane 3.
She misses.
Darrick got interested in bowling by watching TV, as well as hanging around with Gary Trumpor.
And a 6 count for Darrick.
Sixth count for Darrick on lane 4.
And that big foot got him into trouble again.
With the foul, but he did pick up the spare anyway, and it is going to count as a foul.
And Darrick coming up in the 5th after that foul, which hurt him. He would have made the spare.
And he's coming too light on both lanes. Gotta hit that pocket.
I think what he's doing, I think he's a little bit nervous being on TV. He's rushing up to the foul line instead of slowing down a little bit.
If he picks up his spare, she should hang in there. Danielle's gave him an open, or she opened the door, but Darrick opened it even wider.
That's a 5th frame. That means we're taking a break. We'll be right back with more after these words. And we're back with action. Danielle Gabel in the 5th, leaving the 310. Ah, 73 for Danielle. Actually, at this point, we have a tie game. Darrick has 65 plus 8 pins handicap, gives him 73. Danielle has a 73. And a 1-2 for Danielle.
Lane 4 coming up a little high. Lane 3 coming too light.
And Danielle makes a spare, not by a lot. And we'll take a look at Darrick coming up here in the 6th. It's up a little high, 3-6-10. Darrick, of course, was last year's Bowler's Gazette Bowler of the Year. He actually won 8 tournaments in one season, came in 2nd in another one. Oh, that should have been a spare. It was a good ball.
Just didn't get the right carry. Darrick's desperate for a spare. Outside line again.
You see, he's still rushing up to that foul line. And actually, Danielle, in theory, would have the advantage in this match since she has bowled on TV before. This is Darrick's first TV appearance.
He used the outside line again, but gave the ball a little bit more finger, but just didn't make the spare.
And here's Danielle coming up in the 7th. And she gets a strike. Danielle was last year's winner in the National Family Tournament in the prep division. She and her father. They won an all-expense paid trip to Orlando, and she won a $200 scholarship in that tournament.
Gets a 7 count on lane 3. A-frame.
Darrick and his partner also were the winners last year in the National Family Tournament, the state winners. And she puts the ball out. Gives her 119 through 8. Darrick's got to get started in this game if he wants to have a chance.
And this is the last chance he could. Again, using the outside line has a washout. 1, 2, 8, 10. Had the right idea, but again, these lanes are dry in the inside.
Gives him a 90, and 8 pins handicap gives him a 98. Gives him a 21 pin on the negative with 2 frames to go.
Anything could still happen, Gary. Whoa, it looks like he gave that ball a little more finger, but he almost crossed the foul line again, so it wasn't solid the line.
Yeah, this isn't his day.
This ball broke a little too much. Left the 7-4-10. Difficult split, but he's made it before. Not recently, but before. He really knows how to crank this ball over there. Yes.
And he makes the spare. Nice shot for Darrick Fisher.
Looks like he did make it recently. Just now. Great shot. Great shot, Darrick.
And Danielle Gabel in the ninth. And she's got a little bit of a thing there. 3-8. Not an easy shot.
That's the 2-8, Gary.
I'm sorry, that's the 2-8. Still not an easy shot. Gotta hit this one dead on to make that.
Or it would spin like, not like that.
And it gives her 127 through 9.
This is the only chance that Darrick's going to have coming back, but
this could be an interesting match.
It all comes down to the 10th frame.
Yeah, if Danielle gets a good frame here, she'll shut Darrick out. If she doesn't, she's letting the door open. And a 7 count. In the qualifying for this tournament, Darrick was the tournament leader with an 8-14 series with his handicap. Danielle had a 752. And she makes the spare. I'd like to thank First State Lanes for hosting our Junior Singles Classic and our TV taping. And she finishes with a 147. Nice game for Danielle. Darrick could strike out and get a 148 with his handicap.
He gets a 9 count, a 3-pin, Gary.
And he misses it.
Just went
Finish
right
out the
past it.
match Had a 118. 8 pins handicap gave him a 126. Danielle Gabel, 147. We'll be back with more after these words. And here we go at First State Lanes Junior Singles Classic. Mark Dunn, our first bowler. And he gets a 2-8 rather to start us off. This is the 18th annual Junior Singles Classic. We had 4 divisions: majors, juniors, preps, and bantams for the first time. This is the junior division. Mark Dunn versus Brandon Moon. Mark Dunn was the tournament leader, and he decided to go first in the match. And he has a 9 in the first. Brandon Moon coming up. Brandon, 13 years old. Bowls at Price in First State. He'll be an 8th grader at Stanton Middle School. His parents are Betty and Damaris. He's got 2 older brothers. This is his 5th year of bowling. And he makes a spare. And he gets a total of 3 pins worth of handicap in this match. Qualifying for the tournament took place back at the Christmas weekends. The finals taking place in June right here at First State Lanes. Brandon leaves the 6-10 again. Well, a little bit nervous, rushing. In the qualifying, Brandon had a 5:55 series. That was his scratch series, and he makes a spare. Mark Dunn, 15 years old, bowls at First State. He'll be at Mount Pleasant next year. And he gets a strike. He's been bowling for 5 years. And he finally talked his mother into bowling with him in the Winter Youth Adult League. His high sanction game is 267, and he has a 657 series, and that's a double for Mark Dunn. Brandon Moon, 248 is his high game. 662 and 632 are his high series, and he got both of those in the top 10 tournament this year. And a 5-pin for Brandon. Brandon got interested in bowling by watching his mother bowl, and she's a major influence in his game. Oh, missed the 5-pin. And that gives him 46 through 3. His favorite bowler is Walter Ray Williams. a 4-pin for Brandon. Our official scorekeeper in our tournaments, Brandon, and also Darrick Fisher, been with us each weekend of our tournaments throughout the season. And a spare for Brandon. Mark Dunn in the 4th frame. And he leaves the 6-10. That seems to be the favorite shot today. Mark's favorite bowler is Parker Bowen III. And a spare for Mark. That's 57 through 3 with a spare. And a good strike by Mark in the 5th frame. That is the 5th frame, which means we'll be back right after these words. And we're back with action at First State Lanes, the 18th Annual Junior Singles Classic. Brandon Moon in the 5th frame. And a strike for Brandon Moon. Good ball. And that gives him 66 through 4. He's 11 pins down, but 3 pins to handicap. Makes it an 8-pin match. And the 6-pin standing. And Brandon pulled that one. That's 2 single pins he's missed. Mark Dunn gets a strike. Gives him a double again. That's 2 doubles for Mark. Mark's parents are Lori and Brian. And a 10-pin for Mark. First thing I got Mark interested in bowling was his grandmother, because she said that it was fun and that he would like it. And after 5 years, I'd say that's probably true. And a spare for Mark in the 7th. Gives him 126 to Brandon's 97. And a strike for Brandon. Wasn't exactly where he wanted it to go, but the results ended up okay. And a 5-pin. And a good spare for Brandon. Mark Dunn coming up in the 8th. And another strike for Mark Dunn. It's in 146 through 7. And a 4-5-7 split in the 9th. And he gets 2. Give him 174 through 9. Brandon Moon has his work cut out for him now. He needs a strike here in the 9th. Well, it wasn't pretty, but they fell. Now to get back in this game, he has to have 2 strikes in the 10th. And a 5-10. And he gets a field goal. And he ends up with a 160 with 3 pins handicap. 163 for Brandon Moon. Mark Dunn is the winner of this year's Junior Singles Classic. Mark had a 738 in the qualifying for the tournament with his handicap. He had 579 scratch. Mark is a regular tournament bowler, hasn't missed any tournament in the last few years. And he finishes up, leaving the 7-8 split. 192 for Mark Dunn, our tournament champion. 163 to Brandon Moon. We'll be right back with more after these messages. We are at First State Lanes with the 18th Annual Junior Singles Classic. With me is Brandon Moon, one of our junior bowlers. And in our first match of the Junior Singles Classic for 1999, it's the major division. We have Paul Coco and Dan Cook. Here's Paul Coco throwing the first ball. And a strike for Paul Coco. Brandon, you'll be bowling in this tournament in one of the upcoming matches. What are you looking forward to? Here's Dan. Dan Cook gets a strike. He gives a huge handicap to Paul, 36 pins. And Brandon, we said that you're coming up into this tournament soon. What are you looking forward to?
Bowling as good as I could.
I think you have some information there on Dan.
Yeah, just a little bit. Dan bowled a 290 high game before. That's excellent. And Paul bowled a 279, which is also very high.
And there's Dan on lane 3. Leaves a 5-pin. Dan is from Pennsylvania, Conchester lanes.
And he got interested in bowling the same way I did, parents.
And a spare for Dan. And we're going to get our second look at our tournament leader, Cook-Coco.
He is 16 years old. He bowled in the league for 5 years. Same amount of years as me, too.
There's Paul with a 310.
Ball came up just a tad bit high.
And he loses that one, goes in the gutter.
He swung out just a tad bit too much.
26 through 2 for Paul, but he does have 36 pins, which gives him 62.
Paul bowled a 715 high series before. And the ball came up just high again on lane 3. Left a solid 4-pin.
And the qualifying for the tournament, Paul rolled a 711 with his handicap. Dan Cook had a 655. Ooh.
Just made it. But
Very close.
yes, it was very close. But the spares count.
And another look at Dan Cook.
Who bowled a 699 high series? Just 1 pin away from a 7. Bet he was mad.
And a nice strike by Dan Cook. Gives him 40 through 2. He's picking up a little bit of that handicap. Said this was our 18th annual Junior Singles Classic. First one, the qualifying took place Christmas in 1980, and it was taped in January. The qualifying for this year's tournament also took place during the Christmas time season. Right here at First State Lanes, and we'd like to thank First State Lanes for hosting the TV finals of our tournament. And Dan Cook misses that spare.
Just chopped it.
Gives him a 66, or 68 rather, through 4.
That's okay. He can still have a good game.
Cook-Coco. Interestingly enough, both of our bowlers in this division are from out of state. Paul is from New Jersey. Dan is from nearby Pennsylvania. Both came over and competed in our tournament.
Paul likes to bowl because it's fun. That's what got him interested. But Dan got interested by his parents, which I announced already.
And a 10-pin for Cook-Coco. Much better shot that time. And that's a 5th frame, which means that's a break. We'll be back with more right after this. State Lanes, 18th Annual Junior Singles Classic. The major division. Paul Coco against Dan Cook. And a good ball by Dan.
It was good, wasn't it, Gary?
Dan's going to need a few more of these to get into the game here because he's spotting Paul 36 pins.
Yeah, that's a pretty good number of handicap pins. Gotta make your spares when you need a lot of pins like that.
And we'll see how Dan does with the 10 pin.
He's going to throw a hard and straight ball at the 10 pin and makes it with no problem.
That's 88 through 5. Dan Cook. A little bit too high. Left himself a nasty looking split. 4, 6, 7, 9.
He needs to get his ball right behind the 6 pin as if he was going for the 10 with speed. Ooh, just chopped the 7 pin.
And that's going to tighten the match up a little bit. It's Paul 89 through 6, but with 36 pins handicap, he still has a 125.
Which means he's still in the game.
He's about almost 20 pins ahead.
A little light on lane 3, Paul.
2-4-5 for Paul.
Paul's friends have a major influence in his bowling, by the way.
And a good spare by Paul. As long as Paul keeps getting spares, Dan has to get strikes in order to get back into this game.
Yes, he will with 36 pins handicap. That's a good number of pins. Have an easy win with 36 pins.
And that's the way to do it. Good shot for Dan. Dan's got himself a rooting section there in the background.
I would say he needs a double to get seriously back in the game.
Yeah, he's running out of room to pick up those 20-some pins he's behind.
He really needs this strike right here. And yes, he got it. Okay, now we have a good match on our hands.
Paul's in trouble now. 106 in the 7th. The handicap, he's got a 142. Dan's right behind him in the high 130s. He's got 108 and a 6 with a double.
Okay, Paul's not on the spare, but Dan is on a double, so anything could happen.
114 through 8 for Paul.
Without handicap.
That's what Paul needed to get back into the game. Keep things interesting here for us. Going into the 9th. Dan Cook on a double.
Could he make it a triple?
He needs a triple. He needs a strike here to keep himself into the game.
Can't afford to open or split anymore.
And he gets it.
Very nice ball.
138 through 7 to 106.
Scratch.
4 pins, but with that turkey, he's actually going into the lead in the 8th frame. Strike here will just about finish Paul Cook.
And he throws a Brooklyn win. And he's liking it. 4-bagger.
Dan's got a good game going here. Working on a deuce. Paul could get a 212 if he strikes out with his handicap.
He could really use that. Good shot, but left a solid 4-pin. He could afford to now.
197 in the 9th. He's got the game pretty well in hand at this point. 212 is the most that Paul can get, so he's the winner. Dan Cook, 217. Paul Coco going to finish out the game. Dan joins some of the illustrious crowd who has won the Junior Singles Classic over the years. Kermit Justice, Dave Feliciano, Kevin and Keith Poppity.
Paul just missed a 4-pin. A little rookie mistake, but it happens.
That finishes the game. 142 plus handicap. 178 for Paul. 217 for Dan Cook. We'll be back with more after these words.